Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the Redington virtual sessions today. The topic we have today is what is robotic process automation and how IQ bots embedded AI into RPA, which will be delivered by Mr. Sohail. During the session, if you have any questions, we request you to please add them in the Q&A tab, and we will answer them towards the end of the session. Thank you. Sohail, you may begin.
Thank you, Chanakya, for the introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Suhail, and I am the principal consultant at Redington. So, today I will be talking about automation anywhere and RPA. Before I move forward, please allow me to give you a brief introduction what Automation Anywhere is as a company. So, Automation Anywhere were actually founded in the year 2003, based in San Jose, and they have from the year 2003 till now in the year 2020 they have grown by leaps and bounds. Okay. They have almost 3,500 customer entities. They have a strong partnership global partnership network of 1,100 partners, and they have an employee strength of 2,400. Eh, they have been rated quite highly by various analyst firms that are presently operating in the corporate space, like Gartner's. They have been in the Gartner's leader quadrant for RPA. They have been rated as the number one automation tool by Everest Group, by Forrester, HFS, Nelson Hall. So now, in terms of the presence, they are present in more than 90 countries across the globe. I mean, I believe this view actually gives you a pretty good idea of the offices that they have across the globe. I mean, they are present in, I mean, I can say that they are actually available across all the continents, be it the Asia region, be it the Middle East, be it Australia, North America, South America, the African region. They have got footprints across the globe. Okay. Now, they have been working quite closely with a lot of enterprise customers, and at the moment they have almost 3,500 plus customers across the globe. And they have been working quite closely with customers like Google, LinkedIn, Cisco, Dell, General Motors, the World Bank, the Boston Scientific, the Whirlpool, the ING Bank, and a lot more. So I believe this actually gives a pretty good view of the kind of customer base that they have got, and this actually speaks a lot for them. They also automation anyway. They also have a strong ecosystem. Okay, I mean they have this capability of being able to integrate with any of the applications that you have in the market. I mean, like they can automate on top of any analytics tool. They like Tableau, Power BI. Then in terms of the security, they work quite closely with CyberArk and Microsoft. In terms of the application, they can work on top of SAP, Oracle, ServiceNow, Zoho. Like, I mean, you can have a pretty good view like what their ecosystem is like. Okay. Now moving on, I would like to introduce what are the products that Automation Anywhere work with. The slide that you see in here, that actually displays the product portfolio that you have under Automation Anywhere, with Enterprise A2009 being the only web-based cloud-enabled on-premises solution for the RPA for all users. I'll be covering in more detail what Enterprise A2019, what IQ bots, what bot insights, what discovery bots, botster. I'll be covering all this in detail in my further discussion. Okay, so the product portfolio that you have under Automation Anywhere, it's like Enterprise A 2019, IQ bots, then you have bot insights, then you have discovery bots, the bot store, and the mobile app. Now, what is RPA? RPA has been a quite buzzword in the last 2 years. I mean, there have been a lot of traction in the market. There have been a lot of noise in the market about RPA. But what really is RPA all about? Uh, when you speak of RPA, people assume it to be a robot in a physical sense, but that is not the case. RPA is basically a software that is capable of automating your business processes through the creation of bots. Your bots are configurable software that's set up to perform the task you assign to that you actually assign and control. Okay, so this conception that when you say that RPA means, I mean, a physical bots, no. RPA basically, as I said earlier, let me reiterate this. RPA basically means a simple and a powerful business process automation software. So, okay, this actually enables you with the tools to create your own software robots, metamorphical robots, to automate any business processes. Okay. Now, what are these bots capable of? We actually need to understand how this bots can augment your workforce. Okay, by working in tandem with the people on the ground. The bots that you have in automation anyway, they have this ability to interact with the presentation layer, the graphical user interface, irrespective of the application that you have, like whether it be a CRM application, okay, whether it be a Salesforce application, whether it be an ERP system from any vendor, it can navigate from screen to screen. Okay, you can you have I mean you the bots do have the ability to navigate from screen to screen without any interference. It has the ability to switch from one environment to another. What do you mean by this? For example, I am working on my like I am an IT administrator, and I am working on my Windows Server platform. Now, suppose if I have a requirement that I need to log into some other remote desktop, in a typical scenario, what I do is that I go to the run command, I type a command by the name mstsc, then I need to enter a particular IP. After that, I'm able to navigate to that particular environment. I mean, this bot that you design using the Enterprise A 2019 platform, you are actually capable of performing that actions also. I mean, you have this ability to switch from one environment to another. Another thing that you have is this RPA, the robotic process automation. They are agnostic. Okay, they sit on the top of your application. They sit on the top of your infrastructure. By this, it gives them the ability to automate your infrastructure, to automate your application. I mean, uh, putting this in other words, RPA actually does not uh, sits inside the application, or it does not manipulates the code. No, it does not does that. What it does is that it sits on the top of an application. So it's a non-intrusive software, okay, that actually enables the workforce to automate their applications, infrastructures, and all the processes. Another big advantage of having RPA, I mean, RPA or the bots, they help you validate the data. They help the workforce uh, with making decisions, okay, with the predefined parameters. The biggest advantage of having bot within your enterprise is actually the availability. I mean, they are capable of performing duties like 24 by 7, 365 days around the year. So, so if you have a bot that is working non-stop 24 by 7, 365 days of year, just imagine the impact that it can have on your productivity, the kind of impact that it can have on your operations. It's massive. I mean, there's no limitation to it. Now, moving on, automation anyways, digital workforce. What is digital workforce is all about? I mean, Digital workforce are basically the synthesis of otherwise disconnected automation tools, each with incredible value to advance the augmentation of human efforts. As the first and only technology that actually weaves together RPA, artificial intelligence, and machine learning to create virtual employees that are ready to deploy directly into the fabric of work, digital workers can actually be considered to be front line of the intelligent automation. Now you might consider, like, why was the digital workforce, I mean, why was this created in the first place by automation anyway? To answer that, they were created to give human workforce the chance to use their creativity, empathy, and collaboration in essence. The change to bring the unique human values to the fore. So, putting this in other words, the automation anywhere digital workforce is actually a combination of enterprise RPM, the software that we use for creating the bots, plus the IQ bot, which I would be talking in detail in the later on slides, then the bot inside. Okay, the enterprise RPA that you see in here, it acts like a person. The IQ bot thinks like person, and the bot inside provides the capability to analyze the data like a person. Okay, now seeing this from a different perspective, automation anyways digital workforce portfolio facilitates all aspects of an organization's automation lifecycle. The enterprise A 2019, the RPA flagship product from automation anywhere, forms the RPA foundation where both attended and unattended bots are created. Now, you might be asking what attended bots are and what unattended bots are. I'll be discussing about this in detail in the further slides. Okay. So where was I? I was telling that, okay, I was talking about attended and unattended bots. When by the digital workforce, you have this ability to manage the attended and unattended bots and easily which are easily enhanced by pluggable programming code and the AI technology. I mean, okay, so that's the thing. The digital workforce that you see in here, okay, they also have the ability to infuse artificial intelligence. For example, if you look at the IQ bot, IQ bots, they are quite capable of performing unsupervised learning, supervised learning. They have the ability to navigate to the semi-structured data. They use language processing, and they use the fuzzy logic. The enterprise RPA that you see here, okay, I mean, you might ask me like how they act like a person. So to answer that, okay, when you are developing a bot, there are certain rules that you define for a bot to act. Okay, so based on the process definition that you embed inside the bot, it will act. The bot that you create using the enterprise RPA 2019 application gives you the ability to automate your front office, your back office. Okay, and the bot insights, they actually give you a real time view of the work that has been carried out by your bots with a zero effort. I mean, why should you leverage this digital workforce? I mean, what is the need for you to have a digital workforce in your enterprise? I mean, some of the benefits that you have by introducing a digital workforce in your enterprise, like it has the ability to optimize the labor cost, increase capacity. Second, I mean, it increases the speed dramatically, and the accuracy with which this bots do the work, it's almost 100%. And the biggest advantage, it's obviously the availability of the bots, like 24 by 7, 365 days around the year. Now, coming to the next point, they help you improve compliance, controls, and audibility. Auditability. Sorry for that. Okay. Now, you might ask me like how they help us improve in the compliance, how they help increase in the controls and auditability. So for this, like as we know that we are living in an era of data expansion. I mean, the data is being uh, grown, and I mean, the data that you see around is actually being it's growing at an exponential rate. Okay, there's a lot of data. I mean, that is actually growing across the enterprise, across the world. A lot of data is being generated through multiple sources. Now, this bots can actually enable you. This bots that you create can empower you to have a strong control on what data is being accessed by what person, okay, and at what time frame it is being accessed. What are the source system from where it was being accessed. So bots actually enable you to have a fine grain auditing of what is actually being accessed. Then, in addition to this, they deliver you with the business intelligence platform. They enable the digital transformation, and the most important thing of all, they actually enhance the employee morale. Okay, which in return increases their productivity. Now, when I say it increases the employee morale, now you might come back to me and say that how is it possible? I mean, there's a possibility that these bots have the capability to take over jobs. I mean, that's a valid question. To explain this in more detail, we need to go back in time when computers were actually when the PCs, the computers came into being. Okay, when they were first introduced in the workforce, when these computers were introduced in the workforce, people had this wrong preconceived notion that since the computers are being introduced into the workforce, we are about to lose our jobs. But that is not the case. If you see now, I mean, without computers, without the PCs, without the laptops, I mean, you cannot do any of your work. I mean, there were no job losses. In fact, a lot of jobs were created by this. So it's the same scenario with the bots that you see. It is I would say it is a cycle that is repeating itself again. Now, I mean, what is the automation anywhere advantage that you have? Now, you might be asking me this. The advantage that you have with automation anyway, or the bots that you create using automation anyway, it's being a combination of attended bots, unattended bots, and cognitive automation. By attended automation, what I mean to say here is that you have a bot in place, okay, but it cannot work on its own. You need something to trigger it. So what usually happens is that an end user needs to trigger this bot from his side or from his personal workspace, or from his workspace. Okay. Now coming to the attended or unattended automation, this actually helps you with the back office automation. By this, what I mean to say is that if a particular item is triggered, the bots they have this capability to execute the processes on their own. Okay. And with the cognitive automation, bots they have the ability to navigate through all unstructured data and make sense of all the formats. Now you might be asking me what unstructured data is. I mean, any data, okay, that is available in the form of emails, in the form of PDF files, in the form of PDF or JPEGs. The bots have the ability to extract the information from these scenarios. Okay, now coming, what do you call? Now you might say, okay, you have this unattended automation and the cognitive automation. Now you might say that okay, we have lot of other tools in the market that are capable of performing this task. Okay, you have something like UiPath, you have got uh, then the Blue Prism, you have the Nice, then you have the Pega systems. I mean, what you're saying is true. Your question is valid, but they do not have this combination. All these tools that are there in the market, some of them work exclusively for the attended automation, for example, UiPath. Then for the unattended automation, you have something called as Blue Prism and the Pega systems. Okay, but no one has the capability of having this all this attended, unattended, and the cognitive automation together. Now you might ask me, like for example, like what is an unattended automation? I mean, give us a real life scenario. Okay, now suppose there's an organization that has got a back office and it needs to validate the information. Okay, that it has got. For example, let's take a scenario where a back office has received a scan copy of an educational certificate. So what needs to be done in this scenario is that the back office operation team needs to extract the information like the name, the university name, the year, okay, and the location from where this particular individual had uh, completed his education. In a typical scenario, this is what happens, that I mean the person working in the back office needs to enter this information manually into the system. Okay, that's one case. Now suppose and you have 5,000 educational certificates that you receive. Okay, and you need to extract the inform each and every information. Just imagine the time it takes to get this work done. I mean, it's a manual process, it's a repetitive process, it's a time consuming. I mean, there is no human intellectual that is involved. The only thing is that it's more of a data entry operation. So what unattended bots can do is that the moment the back office team receives this document, educational certificate, or any other document within their mail or within a specific directory, what the bot can do is that the bot can monitor your emails. The moment you receive this particular document, what it can do is that it can open your email, it can extract all the requirement information that is required from these documents, and then what it can do is that you can train the bot to log on to the specific application wherein you will be feeding this information. Okay, so what it can do is that once it logs to the system, it can fill in all the required information for the educational document, and your work is done without no human involvement. I mean, there's no human involvement. The bot is actually monitoring your inbox. So this is one typical example that you have of unattended automation. Okay, now coming to the next. Till date, I mean, 1.7 million digital workers or bots have been deployed across various enterprises. I mean, some of the examples that I mean, it's clearly visible here. They have been deployed in the area of procure to pay, order to cash, supply chain. I mean, they even in information technology, they have been deployed for monitoring the data center operations for the network, the service desk, the desktop support, the database admin application, then along with the human resource also. Now, uh, I would like to discuss one case here. Now, coming to the information technology, I mean, you might ask me like how the bots are capable of automating the daily repetitive task in the information technology sector. Let's take the example of a service desk. Okay, for example, let's take an example of a bank. You are working in a bank and you have a service desk wherein you have 10 people that are responsible for monitoring your emails to see if there has been any tickets that's been raised by the end customers. Okay, so instead of having people monitoring this emails at the service desk, what you can do is that you can deploy the bots the bots have this ability to monitor their emails, as I was talking in my previous slide. So what happens that if they receive any email from the customer saying that there is a complaint and they would like to raise a ticket for this issue, okay, the bots, they have the capability, they have the intelligence to extract that information from the email, feed into the system, no matter what system you're using. For example, you can use ServiceNow, you'll be using fresh ServiceNow, you can use Freshworks, you can use HP OwnView, no matter what system you have. The bot has this capability to extract the information from your email and fill all the requirement information in the service ticketing system and create a ticket for you, okay, for that particular user. Once that ticket is created, it can send a notification email to the end customer who has raised this query. Once that is raised, simultaneously what it can do is that it can send a notification email to the respective departments, okay. Second scenario, what you can do is that, for example, there is an email from a customer saying that the passport has expired, okay. So what usually happens in a typical scenario is that once you receive this email from the end customer saying that the password has expired, the service desk agent, they actually logs in this ticket and they redirect it to the administration team, the Windows administration or the Linux administration, whatever it is. The ticket is being redirected to that particular team. So what they usually do is that they log into the console and just reset the password. See, is there any intelligence that is being used in this scenario? No. It's a rule based, it's a process based, straightforward task. You can even train your bots to actually reset the password. This is just an example. You can do a lot more with your bots, but in this scenario, you can actually train the bot to reset the password for the user. Okay. Moving uh, you might think of on what processes needs to be automated and how should an organization decide what process needs to be automated and how should we move forward with that. So for that there are some basics that you need to follow. First thing is that you need to look for the processes that are labor intensive and high number of full-time equivalent, okay. I mean, they are usually the prime candidates. They are the prime candidates for the processes being automated because you can have really quick ROIs on this processes, and the implementation time for this process is usually 2 to 3 weeks per process, depending upon the complexity. Okay, then the processes that you are looking to automate should have a low exception rate. Okay, then what you need to look for is processes with fluctuating demands require full-time staff, okay, but automation can kick in when demand increases or to clear the backlogs. Another good candidate or an activity that you can use for identifying your processes is automation of the the process that are actually causing you the bottlenecks, okay. That is one more thing. So to summarize it, the most important thing is that which processes are labor intensive. Second thing that you need to make keep in mind is that are they rule based, okay. What kind of data they are using, whether it is structured or unstructured. And finally, in the bottleneck, the kind of bottleneck it is causing. I mean, are there any processes that is actually causing a bottleneck that can also be a good candidate for automation. Now, some of the industries that can be used for RPM. It's like you can use it for the BPO, financial services, healthcare, human resource, life insurances, life sciences, manufacturing, public sector, and telecom. So the robotic process automation is not only confined to this particular sectors. No, it's not that. These are the some of the sectors that I have mentioned. But RPA is capable of operating in virtually every sector that you have in the world right now. It is highly capable of doing that. Okay. So what having RPA, I mean the robotic process automation within an organization, I mean how does it helps you? It helps you by increasing the efficiency. Okay, by reducing your errors. It actually enables you to streamline your accounts payable and receiving and receivable processing. In this bots, as I told earlier in my slides, these bots have the capability to access unstructured data from the invoice documents. The bots have the capability to update the vendor records in your enterprise systems. They have the ability to initiate the payment processing, and they can make the validation against the payment that you are making in your organization. Okay. So RPA can also be used to automate reconciliations. Okay, I mean you can use RPA to eliminate manual tasks associated with reconciling banks and general ledger balances. I mean, when deploying these bots in your organization, okay, they enable you to accelerate towards financial closure, which in turns is directly responsible to enable timely data for critical business decisions. Then, digging down deep more on the financial services, I would say, I mean, you can automate operations in terms of account opening, account closing, payment processing, customer data updates. All these things can be done by a bot. Okay, then they also provide you the capacity to enhance you know your customer process and the AML compliance by using bots to automate data management activities. Okay. Now, speaking of improving compliance processes that you see here, let's discuss a bit more in detail about this particular process. I mean, how RPA, how the robotic process automation can be used for this KYC and the AML compliance. Okay, so as you all aware, as you all are aware, okay, the AML department, the anti-money laundering department, it's one of the critical departments within the banking sector. Okay, they are responsible for controlling the fraud within the organization. So this actually requires a due diligence of the customer that basically involves a deep research. I mean, what is the nature of the business, how this money is being generated. Okay, so they need to know the source of the money. They need to know whether this money is black or white. Okay, so it is actually quite resource intensive. A lot of teams are involved for this. Okay, for example, I am an analyst working within the AML department, anti-money laundering department at a bank ABC. Okay, I have this task to perform the due diligence of a customer. In a typical scenario, what I need to do is that, okay, I need to log into the core banking system, look for his details, whether he has filled in the right details or not. Okay, once that is done, what I need to do is that I need to take that information and get it verified by the government agencies. I mean your address is registered. I mean your Okay, your address is registered at the government portal. I need to verify that address with the government portal. That is one task. Second, I need to check with my whether this person has got any criminal account or not. So I need to log on to MOI website. For that, there will be some APIs wherein I need to access that particular information. Then within, I need to study the kind of transactions. Okay, the kind of transactions that he is making. So it is basically a long process. Okay, if you have one or two customers, okay, it can be done by individual. But what if you actually need to perform this due diligence for your customer for like all your accounts? It would be next to impossible. It would be really difficult for an individual or for a team of analysts at the AML department to do this. So in this scenario, bots can actually come in quite handy. Okay, when you can use your bots to log on to multiple public and government domains. So the bots, they have the capability, okay, uh, to actually log on to this multiple government and public domains. I mean, you can enter the username, you can feed the bots with the username and the passwords to access to this particular domain. Okay, they have the ability to perform the KYC checks. I mean, they can validate your address, they can validate your credit rating from the central bank. Okay, once this is done, what bot can do is then they can once the data is validated, okay, it actually moves on to the next step of risk assessment and scoring and decision. Okay, once this is done, bot actually sends completed scoring and they actually flag any high risk individual to the concerned team for the review and approval. So as an individual, I mean, as an operations guy within, as an analyst within the AML department, I do not need to do this manual task of being able to log on to the multiple systems. No, the bots, they have the capability to log on to this multiple system. So the human effort that is involved, I mean, is actually quite reduced in this. And some of the use cases that you have in retail, okay, these are some of the use cases. I'm saying these are only some of the use cases. I mean, the ability, the extent to which you can use your RPA, it's your bots, it's actually quite magnanimous. It's a much more larger than this. So some of the use cases that you can see in the retail are, you can use this within the demand and supply planning, you can use it for your in-store planning, you can use it for your marketing, and you can use it for customer engagements. Okay. Now, uh, now you might be interested in knowing like what is the ROI. Like if you are implementing on this technology, okay, if you're planning to have this technology onboarded within your organization, what is the return on investment? I mean, are you making the right decision for investing in this technology? There are some real life scenarios, I would say real life implementations where we have the ROI for them. Okay, so first one I would say it's actually Ban Colombia. Here you go, Ban Colombia. To give you a brief background of what Ban Colombia is, Ban Colombia is an award-winning full-service financial institution that provides banking service to customers in 12 different countries and is one of the 10th largest financial groups in Latin America. Okay, so they decided to embark on this journey of digital transformation by developing bots, by automating their processes. In return, okay, they had 1300% increase on the ROI. Okay, and 1300 no ROI deliver increase on the customer satisfaction, and they were able to generate $7 million by identifying the new revenue streams. I mean, this is actually quite massive, and what being able to impact an organization in such a massive way. The process that were actually automated in this organization was something like credit review, collections, clearance and settlements, capital market, international business. And as you can see, the benefits is actually quite evident. I mean, like 11 days was saved on the back office automation. They had an increase of 51% efficiency in the service time, and they were able to reduce the provisioning cost by 19 million. I mean, that is quite massive. Okay. Now, second case, RPA, the robotic process automation, was used at a global bank. I mean, it was actually used at World Bank to automate their HR function, and the kind of returns have been quite massive here. The process that was automated at World Bank was human resource management system data entry process. Okay, and they had a annual cost saving of $1 million, and the time that they were able to save compared to the old places where human were involved is 70%. You see, I mean, the impact is actually quite evident. The moment they actually bought in the bots to automate the process. Okay, I mean, the organization was able to save the time by 70%. I would say that is quite massive. And the third case that I would like to discuss is about this CPFL Energia. Okay, to give a brief background of what is CPFL Energia, they are the third largest Brazilian electricity utility company with close to 13,000 employees and an annual revenue exceeding $8 billion. I mean, that is quite massive. Okay. Now look at, I mean, how they were benefited by having an RPA strategy in place. Okay. They automated 156,000 transactions per year. They were able to save 50 hours every day. Imagine like how uh, were they able to free, I mean, how they were able to free up their workforce. Okay. Some of the processes that they automated within this organization was like procure to pay, employee scheduling, report generation, customer updates, sales order generation, and password resets. The password resets, I mean, this is the same example that I had discussed in my previous slides. If you remember, like wherein I was discussing about 1.7 million digital workers or bots being deployed across the globe. Okay. Now coming to the architecture. Okay, this is a more of a technical part. You might be wondering what the architecture is like for this RPA. So basically, you have this bot creators, the control room, and the bot runners. So bot creator is actually a platform which enables you to create the bots. Okay, I mean, it has, I mean, whether you are a business user, whether you are an IT developer, you have this, I mean, you can create the bot at ease. I mean, to create the bots, I mean, there is no coding experience that is required. Okay, you can create the bots at ease. Set Next, you have the control room. Control room is basically a place where you have this ability to manage your bots. Okay, you have the ability to manage your users. It's control room is a place where you actually have a bandwidth security. You have the version control. You can monitor your bots in the real time. Okay, so you can say control room is actually the heart of the architecture of this architecture. And at the end that you see is the bot runners. Okay, I mean, they are responsible for executing the bots. Uh, they are basically responsible for executing the processes that you have designed using the bot creators. Okay, so with regards to the deployment option that you have with this bots, automation enabled bots, it can be deployed on premises and also in the cloud. Okay, so with the cloud, it's this RPA platform, being the first purely web based in the cloud enabled RPA platform. The cloud platform actually gives you a lot of advantages, which includes lower maintenance requirements and cost, and as well as greater flexibility. The cloud actually represents huge opportunities to lower your capital cost, thus lowering the total cost of total cost of ownership. Okay, so that's actually the thing with the cloud. I mean, you have this ability to implement this on Amazon, AWS, or Azure, or Google Cloud. No matter what cloud platform you have, then you can deploy on it. Now, coming to the security, I mean, this is one of the most important aspects of a board. Okay, a lot of enterprises that I have spoken to, they actually have a quite concern with regards to the security. I mean, okay. what I mean, the kind of concerns that they have is that, like, if we implement bots in our organization, and how can we control bot? Do we have this auditing enabled? Can we control what bot is accessing what kind of information? Is the platform secure? Okay, so to just tell you, bots, they have an AES 256 bit encryption for storing all the critical information. Then they use TLS 1.2 encryption for the data that is being transferred from the bot creator to the control room, and from the control room to the bot runner. Okay, it's actually bank grade security. Then it can easily be what do you call, assimilated or easily work in parallel with CyberArk. And one of the most important thing is that this is actually Veracode level 5 certified. Okay, and in addition to this, this has been validated by GDPR, the General Data Protection Right from the European Union. In addition to this, this has also been authorized by FISMA. The FISMA is actually the Federal Information Security Management Act in United States, and they also have the certification from PCI. Okay, this is with regards to the security. Then you have the complete audit. I mean, you can see what uh, bots are accessing, how they are accessing, when they are accessing, why they are accessing. Okay, at what point of time they are accessing that particular information, what are the process that are being automated, all information that you can see. Okay, you can have a complete audit of your bots. It's like a human. Okay, so all information, all audit information that you're looking for, it can be obtained. Now, what are IQ bots? You might be like, as I told you earlier in my previous slide, IQ bot is one of the product within automation anyway. You might be asking me what IQ bots are. Like, we have been hearing about bots till now. Bots being have the capability to log on to the multiple screens, navigating between screens. But what are IQ bots? Okay, so IQ bots are basically a cognitive automation in RPA with no limits. They actually combine the power of artificial intelligence and machine learning, which gives them an ability to process the data like humans. So before moving forward, you need to understand why do we have the need to use IQ bots? Okay, the bots that you use are basically on top of your structured data. Okay, that you have within the organization. 20% of the data within an organization is actually structured. The remaining 80% of the data is semi-structured or unstructured. That is actually in the form of your emails or your invoices or your videos or your chats. Okay, that you do on your Teams or Skype, whatever. So this 80% of semi-structured and unstructured data is categorized as the dark data. So the IQ bots is actually designed to tap into that 80% of the dark data. The benefits that you have with the IQ bots, implementing IQ bots within your organization, is that it's actually 10 times faster to set up. Okay, and the end-to-end I mean, you can actually perform 70% of the end-to-end automation within 4 weeks. Bots, IQ bots have the capability of learning from the human experience using artificial intelligence and the machine learning technologies. And the most important, you do not need to change any of your existing workflows. Okay. You might be asking me what artificial intelligence and what machine learning technologies are being used with IQ bots. I mean, they use something like computer vision that is actually capable of extracting information that in turns enables you to perform a decision. Then you have this sorry for that. You have this natural language processing algorithm embedded in this IQ bots, which have the capability to comprehend the meaning. Okay, and in turn, it helps you to improve your decision making. Then you have the fuzzy logic, which performs phonetic search algorithms. Then obviously, You have the machine learning, which actually learns by the human behavior. It sees how you are navigating between the screens. It actually learns what steps you're performing, how you're navigating between various objects on a screen, and it enhances itself. Okay. Now, you might ask me, like, okay, IQ bots do have the capability of extracting information from your invoices and whatnot. Why should I be using IQ bots? I mean, I can use an optical character recognition solution. I mean, your question is valid, but optical, if you're using an intelligent OCR, okay, you can only classify, digitize, and learn. Okay, but you do not have this capability of understanding the intent that you can do with algorithms that you have, like AI embedded algorithms, like computer vision, natural language processing, the fuzzy logic, and the machine learning. Now, okay, now IQ bots, they also have this ability to be integrated with other AI platforms also. For example, they have the ability to be integrated with Google Cloud. They can integrate with Microsoft Cognitive Services and IBM Watson. So it's not that if you're having IQ bot, you need to stick to that. I mean, the algorithms that are within the IQ bot, you have this ability to actually connect to this AI platforms and expand your portfolio of AI solutions. Now, what are bot insights? Again, bot insights is actually one of the products within the Enterprise A 2019 Automation Anywhere platform that provides you with the real-time operational insights. Okay, it provides you with the seamless integration and hand-free business analytics. In the bot insights that you have, the dashboards are actually automated generated. It's automatically generated. The dashboards are automatically generated. It actually gives you an overview of the return on investment of your bots. It gives you an overview of what work your bot is performing. Okay, how many processes it has processed. Okay, what is the value of the processes that it has completed, monetary value. I mean, this can be explained by this. For imagine being able to showcase the total dollar amount of your digital workforce has processed within a configurable time frame. Just imagine how powerful it would be if you could instantly alert your, I mean, your CFO or your finance head or the management in terms of the total daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly saving delivered by a digital team member in an end-to-end or order-to-order cash process. I mean, this is massive. Whatever work that your bots are performing, okay, the dashboards are auto created. I mean, you do not need to have an extra analytics guy in place for you to create dashboards for you. No, they are created automatically. Okay. Now, dis- discovery bots is also one of the products. Discovery bot is much more intelligent, and they are the latest in series that have been that actually have been added to the automation anywhere enterprise platform. Okay, they actually use the AI and machine learning techniques to automatically capture and analyze user action to uncover common repetitive process as employee navigated between business applications. By this, what I mean, like once you have this discovery bots deployed, okay, what you can do is that the bot observes how you're moving across the screen, what are the repetitive processes that you're doing. Okay, in return it will suggest you that since you have been navigating the screen, you have been working with this application, you are following this process, it is advisable for you to automate this process. This automatic recommendation will actually come from this discovery bot. As I said, they actually help you discover what processes can be automated. They help you prioritize the best candidates or the best processes for the automation. And the thing is that I mean, you do not need to create any code Okay, you do not need to any code. Sorry for that. You do not need to create any code for this. You just have to say create bot, and based on your movement, how you had been moving from screen to screen, what kind of information you were feeding in, it will create a bot automatically. That is the highest level of AI that you can have. So in return, it actually maximizes your RPA. You can automate with confidence, and you can scale faster. Now there is something called as bot store. By bot store, what I mean is that they are bots that have already been created. Okay, they are the world largest marketplace for pre-built intelligent automation solutions. Okay, so with this, what you can do is that you have this ability to deploy custom built bots directly into your organization. Okay, this actually helps you to reduce your total cost of ownership. Okay, you can deploy your bot faster. And in the link that you see below here, you have a lot of bots, like more than, I believe, 10,000 bots have already been created for various processes. So if you wish to automate any of those processes, you can go to this botstore.automationanywhere.com and look for the bot that you want to implement within your organization. Okay. Now, to sum it up, Automation Anywhere is actually, the RPA tool from Automation Anywhere is actually a quantum leap forward in digital workforce and automation design technology. They have a human-centered design philosophy, and the RPA platform that you have within this Automation Anywhere has been architected from the ground up to provide a highly intuitive, instant on user experience for users of all level. Okay, no matter whether you're a business developer, whether you're an IT expert, you have this ability to create the bots. And another thing that you have is that, Automation Anywhere's RPA platform is a purely web-based and an on-premise solution. Okay, and they are the first one. They are actually the first one to introduce a web-based RP as a service platform. Fine. So that's it. That's pretty much it from my side. Okay. So do we have any questions down the line? Let me check. I hope I was able to answer all of your questions quite convincingly. And yeah, I would like to thank each one of you who have attended this session. Chanakya.
Yes, Sohail.
Yeah, okay. I believe that I have covered all the questions. Can you please take over now?
Sure. That will be all. Then we have the recording session, and we will be sharing it with all the attendees. I would just like to thank you so much for your time, Sohail, and I would like to thank everyone of you for attending the session. Thank you so much. That will be all then.
Thanks a lot, Chanakya. Thanks a lot, everyone. Once again,
Thank you.
I appreciate. Uh, Thank you. Thanks a lot.